ladies and gents, it's Blackbench here. This video is probably long overdue. So I did Star Trek Online, largely because it appears in my introductory video. And the other game I promised to do some content on this channel was War Thunder. And I think currently there might be 2, maybe 3 videos, none of which are a sort of serious review or a look at the game. Most are just a bit of cheesy footage. So yeah, I suppose it's long overdue that I do some content. So War Thunder, which I played a fair amount. It's very pretty. War Thunder is considered by many to be the kind of primary rival of World of Tanks and World of Warplanes, that series, certainly World of Warplanes. Having played World of Warplanes, I would not describe it as a rival because there are 2 different categories, but now War Thunder boasts a ground combat element. It's a slightly different story, so it's more in direct rivalry with World of Tanks. So what can I say? You get a selection of nations: Japan, America, Britain, the Soviet Union and Germany, all of which you can fly aircraft for in a tiered system where you gain experience and that unlocks further aircraft. There are 3 primary types of player versus player battle. A arcade mode, where you get multiple aircraft and then line up multiple lives. You keep coming back until you've run out of planes and you devastate your opponents or lose the game based on a series of objectives, or alternatively wiping out the enemy team, which, to be fair, doesn't happen terribly often. Has happened, but not lots. And then there's realistic mode. I think they're calling it realistic mode. It used to be called historic mode, but then they changed the nations that were in the battles to not be necessarily the realistic mode nations for it. And, I'm struggling to shoot whilst talking, but no matter. 10 Gs in the Spitfire, no problem. I mean, obviously this is using the arcade flight mode, and it's not the most believable thing in the world. And then there's a simulator mode, which is really very accurate. You can only see things from that actually what is a very cool cockpit view. You know, the flight model is much more realistic. In arcade mode, there's not massive differences between the planes. You know, they all accelerate a bit better than they should. They all turn more than they should. Your wings don't fall off if you get to silly speeds. That sort of nonsense. Realistic mode is a bit less forgiving. Oh, there's BF-110s. I wonder what was shooting me. And then there's these, which are some little player versus computer scenarios. So, you know, nice PvE. You can do it cooperative with your friends. Some recreations to some realistic scenarios, and I quite enjoyed them. It's nice to get away from whining and people who care about losing and, you know, all that jazz. Another key element of arcade mode is when you run out of ammo, yeah, it's alright, you just wait and it'll load more. I'm not really worried about this scenario, it's just going on in the background while I waffle to you guys. And they've recently, sort of in the first quarter of this year, I think, it might be later than that, introduced a ground combat element to this, which and the ability to combine them both. So I promised that what I'm going to do is some proper reviews of these, but I thought I'd give you a little taste at some of the scenarios, have a look at the graphics of the game, and say that I think this is a very good game. In terms of the ground combat, going to get this question out of the way first. Which do I prefer, World of Tanks or War Thunder? I mean, I prefer World of Tanks because, but that's not necessarily because it's a better game. That's because I have a lot of friends now that I play with in World of Tanks, and I've invested a lot of time into it. So I take a great amount of pleasure from it, and I'm part of an enjoyable organisation. And in War Thunder, I haven't got that experience. I don't think the game here is as refined, but I see that it has the potential to be at least as good. But it's going to be good in different ways. So, more 110s. Are they coming for me? They're coming for me. No, maybe they're not. Maybe they're coming for my wingman. I don't know. Who care? But yeah, so I can't really choose between the two. They're both offering a different interpretation of the same concept, and both interpretations have got their merits and flaws. So I'm going to get that out of the way now. I'm probably, when I start looking seriously at the ground combat element, I will go into it in more detail. But one thing I will say that this does offer that World of Tanks doesn't, that I really love, but also think would ruin World of Tanks, is the ability to combine air and ground. In the realistic battle mode in this game, it's great. Then in the arcade battle mode, which more closely resembles the World of Tanks game, it sucks. So read into that as you will. Anyway, this was just a short kind of intro, really, and I'll hopefully see you on some future videos.